Hello everyone, welcome in. This is the second video in the series of evidentiary roadblocks for Team Trevizo, no matter what evidence comes back when the Supreme Court gives us a decision.
Honestly didn't know she was pregnant. I didn't know. Indeed, the placenta was never found.
And even after they told her that she tested positive for the pregnancy, she was telling her mom, "No, I haven't had sex, Mom. I haven't had any sex. I haven't had any sex." That was before she went to the bathroom.
And this is a 20-year-old.
She's 19.
19.
Yeah.
So the first roadblock we discussed was the rule of evidence 11504's exception D3, not D4, which is what's been argued in the Alexee Trevizo case thus far. They've been arguing over the medical privilege and the Miranda. Now, 11504 D3 is just this little sneaky guy hanging out right up above there that basically is a reverse Uno card for all of the defenses, in my opinion, that Team Trevizo has put forth. And those are the medical defenses that they have, whereas, baby Alex didn't look like he was breathing because of the morphine they gave her. Baby Alex was a stillborn, all kinds of, that no one told her she was pregnant. All kinds of these, right? And so a lot of defenses will be cut off at the pass, that things they wouldn't be able to bring up without opening the door to the state getting to use medical information in statements as well, no matter what the Supreme Court decides. Even if the Supreme Court comes back and, gives the defense all their wishes and suppresses all the medical statements, they themselves would be the ones who could open the door by using certain defenses. So that was roadblock number one. So we have that on the table. Now, this next roadblock is the evidence that is already not suppressed and not going to be suppressed, which is the hallway footage. The original judge, who basically, in my opinion, just like willy-nilly suppressed everything over here, specifically didn't suppress the hallway footage. That was still fair game as far as I'm aware. And so when it comes to this hallway footage, I've always said that this plus the autopsy is extremely damaging for Team Trevizo. That it just looks very sinister, and they're basically hinging their hopes on the idea that her having to poop really is their explainer for this. I believe that she was running because she felt like she had to poop so much so, and that's why her hands were positioned how they are and all of that. And you could understand that if once she thought she was going to have a bowel movement, she ended up having a baby, that people were alerted. And that's where this is going to hinge on, because the general idea that people have out there is, why didn't she ask for help? They believe that the intent can be formed, that the jury may even be able to find intent based on the idea that baby Alex was never alerted for help by Alexee Trevizo, who, according to the defense, is likely to say that, baby Alex wasn't breathing, at least in Alexee's presence. And so many would question, why not get assistance for him? And so how do you get that general concept and idea into the evidence? And how do you extract that through the evidence in front of the jury? So you have to, use what you have to materialize this, which they have the pull cord. The state will likely introduce the evidence that that pull cord was never utilized. And then they will also have this very interesting moment. We're not just going, we're going to basically skip over this hallway footage and all the time that was spent in the bathroom, because that's a separate issue. In this case, we're trying to use little pieces of evidence that we can to make the overall story that's going to be convincing for the jury, right? And so with this, it's this actual moment of exiting the bathroom. And right in this moment, there's an alleged conversation that happened. In this conversation between the nurse and Alexee Trevizo was a question about the blood on the ground on the nurse's behalf, and then Alexee Trevizo's response, which was that she had her period. This is what has been alleged in this case thus far. And so that statement, that conversation in the hallway, I think, even if the Supreme Court wanted to suppress all the medical statements, wouldn't be a statement that would stay suppressed. So at this rate, I'm not only hinging it on the odd idea that the jury can have from that conversation. Let's say even if they didn't get to hear what was said, her exiting the bathroom and walking down that hallway and clearly interacting with the medical staff would seem odd to them, because they're going to put two and two together that no one was told about the baby until the baby was found, right? And so, with or without discussing what they discussed with Alexee, which is what's at issue in the evidence. Now, this doesn't seem to be a conversation when exiting the bathroom, a medical conversation. He is asking, what's the deal with all the blood on the ground? But because the alleged crime had just taken place, this could be a statement that has nothing to do with medical assessment, and it can be not given, medical privilege in this case, because one could seriously argue that she wouldn't be availed to the privilege based on not giving accurate medical information. And so it's very likely that the fact that Alexee Trevizo said that she was on her period to explain the blood in the bathroom will be evidence in this case. And if that testimony is said in front of the jury, what will it cause them to think? And will the state be able to extract the idea out of this evidence that if Alexee herself believed that she did nothing wrong, why wouldn't she offer the truth in that moment, right? Why would she allegedly lie and say it was her period and not offer the idea that a baby was just born? Why wouldn't she just say, I just had a traumatic birth and the baby's in the trash because he wasn't alive. I just had a stillborn. I just had a miscarriage. That could have been a statement that was made that maybe could impact this case in a very different way. But if she truly said, as is being testified, that the reason for the blood was her period, what one could argue.
Went into the restroom and I saw a large amount of blood.
Where?
And it was on the floor. It appeared to, like, she had tried to wipe it up in places. Mm-hmm. It was kind of on the back wall behind the commode, the toilet. And so I said, you okay? What happened? And she said, I'm on my period, what she said. And she walked out. And then I went in.
It was the furthest thing away from a birth or baby by most indications medically. That could be extremely suspicious and could potentially be an indicator for the jury of consciousness of guilt. Because why not tell the truth of the situation? Why blame it on something else? And the actual substance of what she allegedly said is going to stack on this idea of concealment, in my opinion, because we have a lot of different elements of concealment, and we will be having individual videos on some of them coming up here. But one is the potential the use of the phentermine to lose weight is ultimately going to fall in a category of attempted concealment. Then the very way baby Alex was left after his birth is going to fall in a category of concealment, most likely, in my opinion. And so when it comes to the actual substance of what was said, not only does it offer an explanation for blood, just point blank, on face value, periods are blood, so of course, but it also could be seen as another layer of concealment to try and dissuade anyone from thinking that if they did find a baby, that it could be hers, because she's not pregnant, she's on her period. No one can say that that is, for a fact. No one can say that that was genuinely her intent when saying it was her period. But based on the other facts in this case and the circumstantial evidence of attempted concealment, if the state tries to make that argument, the statement made in the hallway could be very, very bad for Team Trevizo. The moment of exiting the bathroom is the final moment that most of the general public who see this case say, why didn't she just ask for help? Why didn't she tell anyone the truth? If it was truly her mother, which is not my theory of the motive, which we'll get to again in another video, but if she's truly only afraid of her mother and she opened that bathroom door, her mother's nowhere in sight, why didn't the truth come out then? Why didn't she just tell anyone about baby Alex? Why didn't she pull the help cord? If baby Alex needed help, why didn't she just surrender him to them if she didn't want him? Why didn't she try to get him help? Who made her a doctor? Who made her able to make a call or decision as to the life or death of a baby? And so those questions can be, solidified into fact for the jury through evidence. And in this case, it's not just the absence of pulling the cord. It's that pinnacle moment of exiting the bathroom. And whether they hear the conversation or not, the alleged conversation or not about the period blood, the jury is still, no matter what, going to have the inference that what actually happened in that bathroom was not told to the medical staff. And for that, Team Trevizo is going to continue to be climbing up this mountain of circumstantial evidence that I think, in my opinion, is going to lead to a very quick guilty verdict in the end when this case goes to trial. Speaking of trial, of course, we do not know when trial will be happening at this point because we still do not have a decision from the Supreme Court, but we are getting ever closer to the actual deadline for them to have a decision out. And they also just went through a changing of the Chief Justice. And so if they were bracing for this and, holding off on these bigger decisions, ones with a lot of eyes on them until after things are settled and all good, I think we can be on high alert that this may be coming at some point sooner rather than later, but if not, at the latest, July 15th, and we're going to continue on the fight for justice for baby Alex until we get that Supreme Court decision back.
Any day now. Rain, shine was fate denied by state time. Decades rhymes contain rage behind gang signs. Remember chicken spitting game at you? I'm praying with a flow when you get home.